Please stand for the pledge. Please, there's the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag,
Aye.
to
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting for public forum, civil,
Yes, Kevin Reese would like to speak.
okay?
Kevin, you can unmute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time tonight. I was told by the superintendent a couple weeks ago that the board finds mine and the members of the unit communications to you a waste of time and ridiculous. But I made a commitment to the membership to communicate with you on a regular basis, and I plan on continuing and keeping up with that commitment. I come before you on a monthly basis to inform you of the things that are important to the Faculty Association. And as a major constituent of the district, I believe it's important to be heard. I hope you receive the messages with the intent that they are given, which is to inform you of our activities, our views and concerns. As you stated at the Board of Ed meeting the last Board of Ed meeting, your responsibility is to set goals. Additionally, you set long-term district-wide goals and supervise the superintendent. I do believe that our input would help you with all of those tasks. Your faculty and staff have been heroic in their efforts since the pause in March of last year. They're teaching in new and divergent ways, learning new technology, coming up with methods to try to get remote learners to sign on, engage, and keep their motivation. Their hard work and ingenuity needs to be recognized. I think the winter break has come at a critical time to give them a chance to regroup, recharge their batteries, and get ready for the next push. The principals and office staff did a job that I actually thought was impossible. Finding coverage for staff who were getting their shots last week and covering those who had reactions and couldn't come in or needed to leave early. I'm hopeful that having so many of our faculty and staff vaccinated will continue the current trend of COVID cases going down in the county. I invite you to extend your gratitude to all the employees of Taconic Hills for the tremendous jobs they've been doing since last March. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kevin. And I do want to thank you all for a great job. So thank you.
And I'd like to say, Kevin, we absolutely do not feel that it is a waste of time.
Yeah.
We're happy to hear your report.
Where did you get that from? Where did that first sentence? Where did you get that from?
I'm mute. Oh, I'm not muted. That was in a meeting that I had with Neil and one of the other executive committee members in Neil's office a couple weeks ago.
And those were the exact words that were used?
I might be paraphrasing, but that's what I recall. Yes.
Well, just so you know, we appreciate you and all the staff.
Thank you very much for your feedback. It is good to hear. They've been working tremendously hard. And Neil has done a good job in getting a lot of people vaccinated. That's also a compliment to him as well.
Accolades to everyone there.
Okay, I need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Alicia, second?
second,
No? Any questions on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, Alicia, or Linda Lee, I don't see her.
I'm right here.
All right, all right, thank you. Now I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Joe, second. Alicia? Questions, concerns?
I have a question, not a concern. I see, John, you're retiring. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, John.
Thank you,
And
folks.
Congratulations.
Thank you for your service to the school district. You've been here many years. Both of my kids saw you through here.
I remember you well as the high school principal when my daughter was in school years ago. Do we have candidates for replacements yet, or that's to come, I guess?
Yeah, he's not even gone yet, but yes.
You're
Yeah.
replaceable.
Okay.
I think you're too young to
So
retire.
in
but
case
that's
you're
one of my-
interested, if you could, check that, you could see that, this is part of my motivation. This little
Ah.
girl, I have not even seen yet, because of COVID and other crazy nonsense, our little granddaughter. So there's other things ahead, but I do appreciate your support. Thank you.
Because it's a little bit like you, John.
Just a little.
John, we certainly wish you well and thank you for all your years of service. And I could only share with you how nice it is to be able to have the time to spend with your family when you can. And I know that'll be a great thing for you to look forward to.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that.
And also congratulate Perry and to Judy Donnelly. They've been here for many years as well, so congratulations to them. We wish you well. Any more questions on the consent agenda? No good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have presentations, the 2020, 2021 budget overview, by Dr. Neil Howard and Sybil Howard.
Sybil, do you want to share the screen?
Sure. Which document would you like to start with?
Let's start with yours, the budget overview.
Oh, sure. Okay. Give me a moment. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay. So we've been talking about some of this information since November, but I can provide you with a number of updates tonight. I believe this represents a final picture of the tax cap formula calculation for this year. So we've discussed the multiple components of the formula. The tax base growth factor represents physical infrastructure growth in the district over a 1-year period. That number is provided to us from the Office of Real Property at New York State. CPI is in at 1.23% for this budget cycle, which is the lowest since the 2016-17 school year. And that represents the what is called the allowable growth factor for the formula. And each year it is the lesser of CPI or 2%. So this year that number is 1.23%. We do have some carryover for next year's budget cycle in the amount of $81,579. That represents a portion of the levy that we did not tax last year that we could have. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how that is calculated in a moment. And then we are paying a little bit more debt service next year than we will receive in building aid. And that includes the early start on the aid for the current project that we're just in the process of finishing right now, in the amount of about $81,000. And you'll notice that these two numbers are similar. So my goal every year is to try to keep the levy increases stable. I'm just going to go back to Zoom for a second to make sure I'm not missing anyone that I need to let in. Okay, so requires multitasking. So we try to keep the levy increase amount stable. So I was glad to see that these numbers are about similar last year compared to this year. So right now, our maximum allowable levy limit is about 1.92% or $483,000 in new revenue. As you know, there is about $1.5 million of federal stimulus money built into our state aid runs for next year. If that comes through, I don't think that we're going to need to go here next year, but we're going to need to watch it very carefully and keep listening to the governor and see what comes out of the legislature's version of the budget.
Sybil, before you change the screen, I just want to make sure I understand. the maximum includes the carryover that was not assessed last year.
Yes, it does.
Okay, and 1.56% would be the formula based on the tax cap without that carryover.
Are you talking about this number up here?
Yes, is that not?
This actually represents what we did for this current year.
Oh, excuse me, I'm misreading the chart.
Yeah, this was the current year, what we ended up doing. I think our maximum allowable levy limit was about 3.3%.
Yeah.
And we decided to come in at about half of that.
So if the maximum is 1.92, without the carryover, what would that be? Or are you going to be speaking about that?
I'll go there soon.
Okay, then never mind. Thank you.
That's okay. So let's talk a little bit about carryover and how that is calculated. Okay, so it is the result of two calculations actually, and we can carry over the lesser of the two amounts. So the first calculation takes your prior year tax levy limit, and then you subtract your actual levy. So we levied less than we could have. That's where the $81,579 is coming from. Or the second calculation is 1.5 times your levy limit. So you can carry over the lesser of those two amounts. Okay, you can use all of it, none of it, a portion of it, but it is use it or lose it in the year following that it occurs. Okay, so now going into each step of the formula, and this should address Dave's question. And I present this the same way every year for consistency purposes. So here is our prior year. Even though we're still in 2021, we talk about it like the prior year at this point as we build next year's budget. And we are allowed to grow it by the tax base growth factor. So prior year times the 1.0062 gives us this new number. And then from that, we have to subtract the prior year local capital costs. So in the prior year, we had exclusions in the amount of about $146,000 that we have to then take out in the following year in the top half of your formula. So reducing what you just adjusted for growth by those local capital costs to give you a prior school year levy adjusted for exclusions. Now we can grow it times CPI. So this number times the 1.23%. Okay. And to that, we can add the carryover to give us a new base levy limit amount of $25,599,186, which is 1.59% of an increase. And we'll break this down even a little bit more in the next few slides. So then we get to the second half of the formula, which is calculating the maximum allowable levy limit. So you start with the tax levy limit, your new levy limit, and you could add to it any amount paid for pension costs when the ERS or TRS contribution amount exceeds 2 percentage points. That's only happened once in my 10 years of doing this. So there are no exclusions for ERS or TRS costs. And the formula does that to insulate districts in the event that the cost goes above that 2% amount that we're relegated to with the formula. Ron is coming in, so I'm admitting him. Hopefully y'all can see Ron in a moment. Here are the new exclusions, the new year exclusions, which gives us a maximum allowable levy amount of the 1.92%. So on this next slide, I provide you with the menu of options, if you will. And I think, Dave, this is answering the question that you had asked. about what it would look like at each level. And you'll notice I put a red line here because, as I said, if that $1.5 million of federal stimulus money comes through, we will not need to go here. I'm confident of that. And then it remains to be seen what happens with our state aid after the legislature makes their proposal, what we do from there, and as we move through the budget process. So, you know, we're still very early and have a lot of time.
Sybil?
Yes.
So not last year, but even though, because we're currently in last year, as you say, budget, but the year before, you reported in the workshop that we underspent the budget by $2.8 million because of COVID and, say, the lack of services that had to be paid during that time. In the last year's budget now that we're currently in, what do you project that underspend to be, given that we're still in COVID? We're probably still underspending, because by my calculation right now, at the 17.8 million that we have in reserves, that is 70% of our entire tax levy, right? 17.8 million divided by 25.6, that's about, we're at 70% in reserves of our entire 1 year tax levy. So again, my question is, what do you project our underspend to be in the last year's budget?
So I can't give you that number right now. I can give you some examples. You know, we're lacking for instructional and non-instructional substitutes on a daily basis. I can tell you we are underspending in the area of substitute salary costs. However, I budgeted $2,500 in unemployment expense for this year because we were not planning to lay anyone off, yet we've already paid out almost $70,000 in unemployment expenses due to COVID-19 from folks that did not work last spring that we're currently paying. So while there are, and we're fully in person this year, unlike last year from mid-March to the end of June. So I did report last week on a number of areas where we spent that we did not budget for. We assumed we would absorb those costs related to mitigation measures for COVID-19 to bring kids and staff back safely. However, you know, there were a couple of budget initiatives that we can't do due to COVID-19, like the some of the field trips, the REU dance program, Fall Festival of Shakespeare. So you know, there might be about $100,000 there that we will not spend this year. However, we are asking the board to consider funding those efforts again in 21-22, because we hope, even though they may not occur in the same way, that we'll still be able to give those experiences to kids.
Well, I certainly support those experiences, so no argument there. But I thought the 2.8 million included the additional COVID spending, if you want to call it that. That's 500,000 or so in additional COVID spending. I thought that was included as part of still coming up with 2.8 million extra.
Some of it was, some of it was not. Any of it that we could take care of prior to June 30th, we did, but much of it did not occur until July 1st, the new budget cycle.
Okay. Well, I understand if you don't have the information for this meeting, but I would appreciate if you can bring to the board some estimate of what you think our underspend is going to be. Doesn't have to be exact, but some estimate of what you think the underspend will be in the 2020-21 budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions about these slides or so far? Okay. So moving on to some projected revenue amounts. For purposes of illustration, I put the 1.59% tax revenue amount here. Again, this is very fluid. This is just a first draft. I did reduce other areas like aquatic and fitness center revenue by half. That has not been open. We do not anticipate opening at this time. And we're not sure what that environment will even look like into the summer and the fall, although we're hopeful. In the budget committee meeting we had last month, I reviewed the last 3 years of interest earned with the budget committee. This is down significantly from prior years, in part due to the fact that we have spent most of the capital reserve, but also due to current market conditions and interest. The interest just isn't there right now. So this New York State aid number reflects $1.5 million in federal stimulus money. But the other thing that it reflects that the governor is doing now is the Division of Budget is reflecting the district's STAR payment in our state aid runs. The STAR payment is roughly $1 million back to schools every year. But that is savings to the taxpayer that then the New York State makes the school districts whole. Now the governor is making it look like that STAR money is aid to schools. It is not. And if that is cut, which there is some indications that it may be, then the district would have to make up for it someplace else because we would have no place to get it back from the taxpayer, the way that most of those exemptions currently flow. So again, also still very fluid. And you'll see in a few slides that we are putting forth a request for more bus replacements. So as we've done for the last several years, we have used cash to purchase new vehicles and then make a partial payment on debt service. Neil, would you like to talk about the draft budget initiatives?
Yes. So if you see the light tan at the top there, we've got 6 of them that are, let's see, 5 of them that have some recurring costs, and we have 7 of them that we're unable to do and participate in due to COVID, and we're going to be asking the board and the public to approve those, as well as some items that have been identified to help improve the learning environment and still try to move everyone forward, still planning for COVID-like and social distancing. So you'll see the list of them there. The only new things we're talking about that we've put on hold was elementary furniture, in a couple of areas. If you remember, Story Mountain kind of has run its course. We're thinking of upgrades to makerspace there, some new textbooks, and we're looking at some outdoor storage units, and there's our couple of buses. So we do have a number of one-time costs, which is how we've been giving back to the taxpayers and the students over the past couple of years. And you see the total there, just under 500,000 in budget initiatives. So through talking with staff members and our leadership team, we've determined that this is the best use of this money and moving forward. So are there any questions on this?
We didn't have buses in the previous initiative. I thought we had something on the ballot for new buses, or is this a different set of buses?
This should be a different set of buses.
Yes.
We'd like to keep the fleet up to date, and of course they do reach a certain age and miles where it doesn't become advantageous to keep repairing them and to keep them running. And it is quite expensive. I don't know if Rick wants to make a couple of comments about that on the next page. Sybil?
Sure. Here we go.
Rick, you want to make?
So last year we set aside any replacement on large buses, because due to the pandemic, we felt that we would be better served with a couple of smaller buses to help give us more social distancing on some of the out of district runs that we do. And that did work out well. This year, we are at a point where we do have to get back on track with our replacement program. The surplus vehicles that you see on there, many of those were the same vehicles that we showed you last year, because we were not sure how many bus runs we were going to need throughout the year. We did not want to leave ourselves short. So we did not sell them. We kept them for at least 6 months. We kept them on DOT inspection. 2 or 3 of them are currently off of DOT inspection because the repairs would be too great. So you see 5 surplus vehicles that we're showing you right now. With the 2 new buses, we probably will have 2 other buses that we'll be surplusing. Those are 2010 buses, but I'm hesitant to put them on the slide just yet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
Rick, this is Ron. How you doing?
Hey, Ron.
Just wondering, what kind of return do we get on those selling of the planned surplus vehicles?
Well, if you remember a couple of years ago, we sold one twice.
Good job.
I don't hold out a lot of hope that we're going to be able to do that in the future, but you never know. We might get $4,000, $3,000 to $4,000 on a surplus bus. But after 14 years of use, I'd say we've done our part in using it as best we can.
Oh, I'm sure that's true. So you're basically saying we can get like a couple of spare tires with that money we get from the buses.
Yes, couple.
All right, that's cool. I was just curious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's just talk about some budget considerations as we're moving forward. The teachers' retirement system employer contribution rate is increasing from 9.53% this year to 9.80%. Our expense this year was down about $172,000, mostly due to decreased salaries paid out, TRS eligible salaries. So that would include, for example, substitute teachers. And that payment is deducted directly from our New York State aid payment in the fall of every year. I'm showing you the last several years of contribution rates here in this square. So TRS uses a 5-year rolling average. So because of the low returns, we're starting to see these numbers start to creep back up again, as they did, prior to 17-18. The ERS contribution rate for non-instructional staff is increasing from 14.6 to 16.2. We have not seen this rate increase in the last few years. So our projection from New York State is $764,138, which is a bit of an increase. Our workers' compensation projection is down a little bit, but we do not meet to finalize those rates until March. And as I touched on with regard to unemployment, we do have a reserve that could assist us with any large unemployment costs. To date, this expense has been, just under $70,000, largely substitute teachers, part-time employees who didn't work in the fall. And we have had a number of fraudulent claims filed, not by our staff, but by people trying to steal the identities of staff members. So we're getting claims in the name of a staff member, but an address that is not legitimate. So of course, we're following up on those and filing those right away as fraudulent. Health insurance, at this time, the projection is that the base rates will not increase over last year, which is great news. That is due in part to the fact that folks sought out less medical care in the beginning of the pandemic from March to June. You know, folks didn't want to go out to the doctor, to the hospital, to the urgent care. So, you know, our plan is experience rated. So to some extent, our rates increasing have to do with how much folks use the doctor. However, we are seeing the prescription drug rates increase, although it is below trend. So year to year, Taconic Hills is generally in a low, what they call experience bucket, meaning that, you know, we're generally a healthy group. We seek out cost-effective options for healthcare and medications. No projected rates on dental at this time. And because of the retirements that we are seeing, we will experience budget savings in the area of salaries.
Sybil, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
With the recent changes in administration and some of the executive orders that have been signed in the past couple of weeks regarding health reimbursement, let's say for diabetes medication increases, would we think about that in the future planning for reimbursement?
Making reimbursements?
Yeah.
That is, Dr. Howard is on the Health Insurance Trust, and I think that is something that they do discuss.
Okay.
So he would have more information about whether they've discussed it at that level. I haven't heard it trickle down to me yet.
Okay.
So Terry,
This is all this is pretty recent. So I didn't know if, you know, we had a heads up on it or.
so we had a meeting last Friday, Terry,
Mhm.
the Healthcare Trust, and it was mentioned.
Okay.
Some other items, but at this time, the Healthcare Trust took no action on the recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
We're watching it.
Okay. Thanks.
So at this time, we have 3 proposed propositions that we've been discussing. Of course, the budget, the election of 2 Board of Education members, 2 vacant seats that will be up at the end of this school year. And then in the financial workshop, we did discuss the creation of a capital reserve valued at up to $5 million for another capital project to continue to maintain the facility and the building once the current capital project is over, and in order to continue to have debt service be seamless throughout the budget cycles. We do have another budget workshop coming up on March 3rd, so in 2 weeks. And then,
Hey, Sybil,
yes,
how big is the capital reserve right now?
we do not have one.
Thank you.
We used it to pay for the current half of the current capital project. And then the regular meeting on the 17th, where we will have a second audit committee meeting beforehand. That'll be a busy night, Joe. And then April 7th, third budget workshop, and April 20th, normally we would adopt at that time. And I wanted to leave you with what these projected levy options look like as of right now. Again, it's very early. This is a first draft, but I do not anticipate any major changes in these numbers at this time. Are there any other questions?
Sybil, could you just go back to the previous slide with the dates on it for the
Sure.
meetings? I just want to get that.
I think either Ashley or I will also probably send you out calendar reminders as well.
Okay, good. I just want to get it down so that.
Sybil,
These start at 5:30, like the budget workshop?
No,
1 and 2?
They usually start at 6:30.
This presentation tonight, we'll have available.
I sure will. I'll post it to the budget
Yeah.
section of the website.
Thank you, because I didn't write down all these dates because I assumed we would be able to read the document later. Thank you.
Yes, I will post it in the morning.
Sybil, could you pull up the section 1A, the longitudinal trend analysis of enrollment? Folks, I just wanted to share this with you. This is a historical look at the number of kids and how they've moved through the district. We still are planning a decrease in enrollment. The fact of the matter is that the average age of a person in Columbia County is getting older. Not as many people are being born. I can tell you that in 2018, we've had the largest number of births, that's 3-year-olds at 85, that we've had in the past 3 or 4 years. And we're watching that, so it could be a little bit of a bubble there. But you can see that at some point, we're gonna be flattening out a little bit. And these are arbitrary numbers, except for the colored ones. The tan ones on the right-hand side for projected enrollment, the 74 is just an arbitrary number that I've put in there to kind of represent what the numbers could be like if we become stable at some point. Right now, we're not. We're decreasing. Sybil, could you go to the other one, the section 2A, which is a projected versus current enrollment? So I've updated this as well. And this gives you an idea of the changes we did for COVID on the left-hand side in the current enrollment. And you can see the average class sizes are low. And we're planning on that in the right as well. But you can see in the red that even with the low class sizes, we have the potential to decrease at least 2 elementary teachers and still keep some class sizes. So we're going to be looking at that. That may be a cost savings. We're still going to have our stream room, and we're looking at some retirements. We always like to lose people by attrition rather than laying them off. And I think that's going to be the case as well. I know I haven't had a chance to go through a lot of the high school, junior high and high school numbers yet. Jim Burmaster has put together some information, and I've really got to take a close look at it. Just haven't had time before tonight. So there may be a few reductions in number of staff based upon enrollment.
And you're projecting the reduction in staff for this coming year, or this is out in the future?
Well, it depends. There could be, I'm going to say that the needs of the children and the number of children go together. And depending upon what the needs are, we will be able to provide them. So I'm going to say for illustrative purposes, there could be a small reduction.
And Sybil, did you build these reductions into your options A, B, C, D on the previous budget charts?
No, I would never do that unilaterally. That would not take place until after we've had extensive discussions among the team.
But it will be built in by the time we get to deciding which budget we're trying to approve. Is that correct?
If that were the case, yes, of course.
Well, David, or Craig, sorry. Depending upon the direction that we are led by the State Education Department and the Governor's Office, with kids with AIS, the tiered intervention, a lot of it's going to depend upon that.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that it for this, the budget presentation?
Yes.
Now, superintendent's report?
Yeah, and the superintendent's report is going to be quick. You want me to go ahead? I'd like to report that we did our first round of Abbott antigen testing today for our athletes. We tested 47 students and coaches, and we have no positives. I didn't think we were going to have any positives, but it's always nice to confirm that. And those numbers will be going into the county positivity rate. And so it will, the Conic Hills will have affected it in a positive way, meaning we're sending the positivity rate down when we report these to the Aclaris system. Thank you.
I have a question about that, please. So given that the plan is now to have high-risk sports like basketball as an example, are we going to be doing those tests prior to every game or practice? And what's the frequency of these tests?
The county health department has asked us to do them once a week.
Okay. I know it was already voted on, but I failed to see how we can maintain proper social distancing without more testing with sports like basketball, where the kids are literally right on top of each other, given more high-risk variants, more contagious, more dangerous variants that are entering our community.
Well, I had a meeting with the health department today, and they are very pleased with what Taconic Hills is doing. And I know that Hudson tested 42 kids today as well with no positives. And I know Berlin was testing as well. Ichabod tested yesterday, they tell me. And so everyone who's tested in every single one of the schools, there has not been one positive to date.
When do we plan on, what's the target date to have at least one shot for every staff member that desires to get the shot? Do we have that projection? I know there are some people that don't want the shot, so, but for those.
The information, the Columbia County did not get their allotment of shots this week due to the weather conditions in the middle of the country. I can tell you that they are planning on, I believe, the 26th. Is that next Friday? Is that Friday's out? The 26th, they are planning for 200 first vaccines for employees of school districts and volunteer firefighters. I do not know if that's going to meet the need for the county, but we're doing this as a county. It's very difficult to make a person sign up. We can't mandate them. We've done our best. So
Obviously, if they're not interested in getting a shot, then you've done what you needed to do, and that's on them. I totally agree with that.
I don't have a firm date. It depends upon supply from the county for the vaccines.
Mhm.
Okay,
I'm suggesting that you delay any high-risk sports until that's been satisfied. That's my suggestion.
We voted on this already.
Yeah, we did. And the other thing is, if you read the newsletter that comes out, 38 counties in the state are allowing high-risk sports as well. So I think we did decide this already, so.
You got a better chance of getting COVID at Walmart than you do at the school with the kids playing sports.
Yeah, they really,
Sure, kid gets COVID at Walmart,
the next.
then comes to school and infects the rest because he's on the basketball team.
So Craig, you've had your say, so we all heard you, and we respect what your views.
And
I
Craig, we
understand your
also
concern,
heard you
Craig.
say I many a times. It's all I. That's all we hear from you, Craig, is I.
Craig, I
I'm-
understand your concern. There was a kind of a 2/3, 1/3 vote in my mind. The risk is always a risk, but you take into the account the data that's coming out, and I am confident in the interpretation of our staff and administration that that to me was the deciding vote. So I understand your concern, but I think at some point you have to follow the data and the science, and
Exactly. The science says maintain social distancing 6 feet. That's the science.
I understand that, but if you're getting tested for the sports once a week, I don't think, at some point, we've shown that the school is the safest place around. So I think the school has done everything it can to get everybody prepared for whatever needs to be done.
reason why this school is the safest place to be is because the school has done an excellent job with social distancing. Now we're throwing that out.
Well, we've already voted on this. I think it's done. And we need,
Okay. I'm going to move on now to the next, and we have the budget committee report. So that report's from me. Linda Lee, Alicia, and myself met with Sybil. And these were the things that were discussed. We reviewed the proposed budget requests from the staff, which were the budget initiatives, correct, Sybil?
Yep.
We reviewed the interest earnings based on the last 3 years. The interest earnings are down. They're way down. I mean, significantly down. So we're losing quite a bit of money there. The next thing was we reviewed the credit card service charges. So because of COVID, probably, we saw an increase, $99,000 in credit card sales, which increased our fees by $16,000. The district absorbs all of those costs right now. We do not put them onto the taxpayer. We absorb them as a school district. The committee decided that we would going to eliminate the Amex and Discover payments because they have a higher interest. So we'll only accept
Hey, Bonnie, sorry for interrupting you. There's somebody who has a dog barking in the background and it's cutting you out, so I can't hear everything you're saying.
I just shut off my mic, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, Craig, what did you hear? I'm sorry. You didn't hear any of it?
I heard some of it. That's okay. Keep going. Keep going. I just want to catch all that you have to say. Thank you.
One of the most important things that came out of it is the credit. You heard about the credit card payments, correct?
Yes.
So, we absorb the cost of people using their credit card to pay their taxes. The school district absorbs that. So we're going to eliminate the Amex and Discover credit cards and only accept Visa and MasterCards because they have the lowest rates. KeyBank, there was a KeyBank analysis charges for 2020, which was $39,982, an increase of $24,000 from the previous year. So I'm not really sure what that is. It says it's in process of completing a bank RFP. So Sybil, can you talk a little bit about that?
Or when we moved a lot of our investments from KeyBank to NiClass because they were offering a better rate of return, KeyBank stopped what's called analyzing our service charges. Years ago, they would absorb service charges related to banking fees as well as those merchant services fees related to the online bill pay for tax. They stopped doing that. So we're starting to see those fees increase. So we're going to do an RFP and see if we can find a more competitive arrangement with a different local bank.
And that's all. That was the end of my budget committee report. We'll meet again.
Bonnie,
Yeah.
I have a question about the credit card charges.
Yes.
As I understand it, you're saying we will not accept Discover and American Express at all. So that when someone's on the portal, that won't even be a choice. It'll just be the two Visa and MasterCard logos.
Correct.
So it's not like someone who charges it wouldn't get reimbursed.
And honestly, Dave, in looking at it, when we looked at the numbers, Visa and MasterCard was the predominant, two cards that were used anyway. So,
This is very, very common. A lot of businesses, limit that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How much of a savings would that be though, from this 90,000?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I can tell you that the service charge for American Express for each transaction is over 2%. And for Discover, it's 1.62%, where for MasterCard and Visa, they're well below 1.5%. And with American Express, we were actually even incurring some foreign service charges for folks that paid their taxes while they were overseas.
Wow.
Lucky
We're going through a proxy server in the Ukraine.
Jeez.
Okay.
But my question actually calls to, it's just, if I understood it, the fees went up astronomically because of the number of people using it. But American Express is the smallest number of charges. Will it really yield a difference, a significant difference?
Right, so American Express and Discover resulted in about $13,500 in fees for the district.
So,
That's
but
substantial.
yes, but what would happen is most people will just, if they can't use a Discover or American Express, they'll use a Visa card, whatever their preference is. So the most it could potentially save is 13,000, and in practice, those folks would probably still charge with another card where there is a fee. So, it's not going to go down to zero for that group.
Right, so what I would do, because I have no way of knowing what people would use, is I would just take an average of the two MasterCard and Visa rates and apply that average to the total of credit card sales last year to get an amount to compare to.
Yeah, it's, I guess the bigger thing is, do we have more people paying their taxes on time and in full?
The rate of payment this year was about the same. The credit card payments did go up. We had some folks tell us anecdotally that it was, because of COVID and they just wanted to make a contactless payment.
Yep.
We have other people that still are just realizing that we accept credit cards without a service fee, even after all these years. But the motivating factor for us to take a look at this was because our interest earnings have decreased so much in prior years. We've looked at that as a way to mitigate those costs. We just said, look, let's take one step toward reducing the kinds of cards that can be used and see what that does for us.
Would at some
Makes
point
sense.
would you consider having to kick back those interest rates to the public?
Yes, we discussed that a few years ago when we started this process, and we went into it eyes wide open and said that at some point, as a board and a district, we may have to make that decision, but I don't think we're there yet.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next up, we have the building departments. Reports, we have John Goulstain, Elementary School. Hi, John.
Hello. So just to echo a little bit of what we've heard tonight, the challenge of covering teachers who are absent or getting vaccines or just trying to cover aides who are unavailable to us for one reason or another, people going on quarantine and so forth. This challenge has been very real, and it has been taxing and stressful on your administrative team at the building level. We scramble on a daily and regular basis to make sure that kids have an individual in front of them who could deliver instruction. I just want you to know that it has been difficult, and I'm hoping that we've turned a corner, and I'm hoping that between the vaccinations and good practices, we can start seeing less absence, especially due to quarantining of staff. This has been quite impactful. I think you probably know that, but I don't think you know just how impactful it is. When you're staring down as building administrators, 30 individuals who are absent, some of whom do not require substitutes, but many of whom do. Imagine the puzzle that you have to put together to try to ask individuals to teach classes, often outside of their expertise, to help us get through. I just want you to be aware of that. It has been impactful and it has been difficult. And I want to take my hat off to the teachers who have been so willing and understanding to help us with that matter, as well as to the administrators who work collaboratively and we help each other. And we do what we can to share staff as needed to overcome that issue. But that's our reality. We've been dealing with that on a regular basis. And it is taxing, not going to lie. The other thing that I just want to point out is that we made a decision early on in this COVID crisis to keep the building open, and I firmly believe we made the right decision. I think we've shown that we can keep kids safe and staff safe. However, it has not been easy. I want you to know that. It has not been a cakewalk.
John,
Much-
can I say something?
Much appreciated. Can I ask you a question? Do we know with staff with regards to the vaccination, how many people have called in because of adverse reactions following their vaccinations? Do you have any idea?
So we did see an uptick in that, Terry. There definitely was some folks that had issues, especially with the second vaccine.
Second, yeah.
Not so much with the first. Honestly, I can't say with the first
Right.
dose, we really saw much of that at all. But there were some individuals who didn't make it to work the next day, who felt miserable, who could get their
Yeah.
head off the pillow. My wife actually works for another school district, and she had her second vaccine, and honestly, she slept the entire next day.
Yeah.
And she's warned me to be prepared when I get my second dose that I may be in rough shape the next day. So
Yeah, you're hearing that a lot around, all around, in all areas and fields. I was just wondering if, we were affected by that as well. So I would expect that to be a problem. Yeah, thank you.
John, can I ask something?
Yes.
Is there anything, I mean, obviously we can't create miracles, but I've talked to some of the board members. Is there anything that we as a board could do to really show the staff that how much we appreciate what they're doing? I mean, I'm a parent and I see the hard work that these teachers are doing with these kids. And I don't want them to at all, I know we talked about this a little bit before, think that we don't appreciate their hard work. And I just, I was on PTO and we always were able to do something to show how much we appreciate what they do for these kids.
Well, I know, Linda, that, you all said that you're listening to the teachers, and I think it's
Heidi.
That's important. Oh, it's Heidi. I'm sorry, Heidi. Heidi, I think it's important that the teachers feel like they are listened to. It's important for us all to feel like we have a voice that matters, right? So I think validating that's significant. You have to understand that not all teachers are on the same page with regard to the concerns that have been expressed by Kevin and the teachers union. But at the same time, people are scared, people are concerned, and people are exhausted. And that's real. And to the extent that you hear that and you acknowledge that, I think that's important for people to hear from you.
So let me just add something. We're the only school district that I'm aware of in Columbia County that has given people release time. I know other school districts have made people take sick time and to go get their shots, and we did not do that. And I think that speaks a little bit to our priorities and what we think is best for the district and for the people. We've fought very hard to get a large number of our population the option to be vaccinated, and we're continuing to do that.
I agree with what Neil just said. If you need to know anything about Neil Howard, he has been focused on keeping the staff safe and getting those vaccines available to us. There's no question that what he just said is real and true. And I think everybody believes that, Neil. You've gone above and beyond to try to give us that opportunity. And even in some kind ways, put some pressure on people who might have been a little hesitant to consider it. So that is to be acknowledged. No question about it.
John, I just wanted to say, when you were speaking about the challenges, I think we're all aware of the global ones, but not being in the mix every day, there is a sense of being detached from it. And hearing you so impassionedly expressing how difficult it is. And I can only imagine the number of absences that you're dealing with. Those would have been an anomaly, a once a year occurrence. And for this to be daily, everybody, is, I can't imagine how far they're being stretched. So it is greatly appreciated. On a practical matter, something you were talking about in terms of subs, I know there was a great concern about, do we have a pool of subs available? Where do we stand with that? And is it adequate, or can we look at ways at expanding those kinds of support resources?
So Dave, we've taken hits to our sub pool for a variety of reasons. Many of the substitutes are a little bit elderly, and they're just not going to come in and sub. It's just not worth the risk for many of them. The sub pool has shrunk. We have just a few people that regularly substitute at this point. And of course, we said goodbye to some folks that were wonderful subs for us. Lyle Ham was a Swiss Army knife in terms of what he would do for us, and he, unfortunately, he's passed on. So we have attrition, real attrition in our sub ranks. It's not for any lack of effort on our part to find substitutes. We're interviewing people, often, but again, committing them and getting them in the building and finding qualified substitutes is another story.
Sure, very challenging.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Danica, the intermediate school.
Good evening. I wanted to echo what John said as far as, all of the people that have really been doing a tremendous job helping us through this. And I also wanted to mention the secretaries, because we would not be able to figure this puzzle out at all if it wasn't for them. And we also had Dr. Howard. He auditioned. He was our music teacher during one of our days. He taught a class, and the kids seem to have enjoyed that. He told me they took snow days, so I'm not really sure what kind of a music class that was. But everybody's working, and we're trying to, we're just trying to make sure that the kids are in school. The other thing that we are focusing on is we are trying to work on having greater communication with parents, and the social workers and the counseling staff continue that effort. They are planning on doing a Zoom next month where they will actually be meeting with parents and students and making stress balls. So pass that along. Hopefully we'll get some people to come and work with the social workers.
Nice.
That's it.
Thanks, Mary.
Sure.
Next up, we have the high school, Jim Burmaster. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Bonnie, thank you. Yeah, I can really echo all the same things John and Mary have said. It's been a tough effort, but it's taken a full team effort, and it's top to bottom getting it done. I also wanted to let you know that we're already looking at next year's schedule and how we're going to run things next year. We have a group of teachers and others that have volunteered to be on a scheduling committee to really figure out the best way to address the students' needs. And those needs are going to be plentiful next year. And we really see that the best way to meet those needs are to have good quality teachers in front of them, good quality adults that can make connections and help students learn. Really, that'll bring me to my last point. And this will be the first of many times that I'll be able to hopefully publicly thank him. But 16 years ago, I was hired as a part-time social studies teacher by John Gulasane. And not a day has gone by since then that he hasn't led by example. He shows dedication to his students and his staff. He lives a life of service that's an example to all of us. He has integrity beyond anyone's question, and he brings a sense of humor that makes this a fun job to have and a fun place to work. And I have no question that the same dedication that he's shown through all of these years, he'll still be showing on June 30th when he's wrapping things up with the staff. And to me, it really shows that, you know, good quality principals and good quality teachers are the most important things to helping our students succeed. And I think John has been an awesome example of that, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done for all of us. Thanks.
Well, that's well said, Jim.
Was so nice. Very nice.
Thank you. We have Sandra Gardner's up next. Instruction, staff development.
Good evening. I would just echo Jim's comments and add to John's ability to listen. And Heidi, that leads me into your question. I think really what's the most important is to listen to everybody. Everybody has a right to their opinion and should have that ability to express it. And even if we don't agree, we need to at least have empathy towards others' opinions. So continue to show empathy, please, as a Board of Ed to our staff and our students. Thank you. One of the things I want to talk about tonight is our science research program. We presented at the library virtually this year instead of in person. That presentation went really well. Our students went on to compete in their first competition and did very well. And we had a second place winner in that competition, and she'll go on through that vein, and they will be competing in March at RPI. So look to hear more. We are still raising funds for science research. We are about $4,000 away from being able to endow that campaign. So we just need to get that extra push in, and just a reminder that we're looking to have that endowed by June 1st, or else we won't be able to endow it. So any help you can give us would be greatly appreciated, as well as if somebody wants to talk to me more about giving to that fund, I'll certainly be glad to speak with them more.
And can you announce, Sandra, where to send the check?
You can go right online to Berkshire Taconic Foundation, look up Taconic Hills Science Research, and you can just donate right through the website, or else you can send a check by traditional snail mail to them. Just make sure you designate that it's the Taconic Hills Science Research Fund.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Last month, Erin spoke with you about our title survey. I believe Matt Perry posted today the community survey, so please be on the lookout on our webpage for that survey. We really would appreciate a lot of community input. So if you're having difficulties finding it, I'm sure you can email Matt and he can direct you to where to find that on the webpage. And finally, we all need very good news, and we have a guest with us tonight. Tara Dunspa is here to talk to us about 2 years ago. We put a proposal in front of you as a budget initiative for a new reading series, K through 4, and it was a very pricey reading series. And Tara is here to talk to you tonight about the success that they have seen at 3rd grade with that reading series. So I'm turning it over to Tara.
Thanks, Sandra. Good evening. My name is Tara Dunspa, and I teach 3rd grade. I am also the content coordinator for my grade level. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight about our English language arts curriculum. We are currently working with an excellent program we refer to as Fountas and Pinnell. We are in our 2nd year of implementing this program, and we would like to thank you, the Board of Education, as well as the district, for purchasing this program for us. By allowing this to be purchased, you have made a worthwhile investment, and at the same time have made many children excited about learning to read. Teaching reading with this program has been very beneficial to our students. For us, the benefits of this program are clear. Our students are excited about reading and are often sad when reading groups are done. I've had to say things like, "I'm sorry, but I really need your book and folder. We'll read again tomorrow." And they will respond with, "But I'm almost done." They hate to put these books down. Wouldn't the goal of any reading program be to develop a love of reading? This program is definitely meeting this goal. Even our most reluctant readers are wanting to read these books. Two of my most struggling readers have made great progress so far this year, and I have to think that the books and materials we are using to teach are part of the reason for their success. The rich literature selections that we can now provide are making reading so fun for them and not just another job they have to do each day. Through these books, the children are being exposed to incredible fiction and nonfiction, both in small reading groups as well as in teacher-directed read-alouds. There is a great balance of genres, and each classroom set has plenty of books to engage all readers, no matter their reading ability. We also love that many of the books help us to teach our third grade social studies and science curriculum. In preparing for speaking tonight, I decided to ask the kids for some feedback. They all agreed that the nonfiction books are their favorites. Here are a few quotes straight from my students. The books that we read, I really like because there are animals. The nonfiction books are good because you learn real facts. I like the books we read because I learn a lot and it helps me learn to read. I find the books to be very interesting and I learn new words. This last quote is my favorite. The books have helped me learn to read. When I heard that, my heart just melted and I knew that we were doing great work with these kids. As teachers, collaborating with each other to make this program really work for our students has been key. Fortunately, we were given paid work time over the summer of 2020 as a third grade team to collaborate and plan how and when we would deliver specific instruction. We were able to create a pacing guide that would help ensure all students were receiving the same amount of instruction in each area and at the same time. This is another reason why I'm speaking to you tonight. I'd like to thank you for the time we were given over the summer to collaborate with each other. The time we spent together planning has been critical to our success this year. We've had limited time together to plan due to the nature of the school year, and our summer work has made this challenge much more manageable. It's a work in progress, and we look forward to working together again to make improvements. As a third grade team, we have also worked hard to implement a writing curriculum based on the work of Lucy Calkins, along with a phonics-based program called Foundations, based on the research of Orton Gillingham and Wilson language. By teaching ELA with all three programs, we believe that we are now able to deliver a balanced literacy approach. This is the ultimate goal of any solid ELA program, and we are fortunate that here at Taconic Hills, we have the support we need to give our students a rich literacy experience. In closing, I'd like to thank the district and the Board of Education for the resources and the planning time that has been provided to my team and I. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And Mr. Gould is saying thank you for all you've done for us. We're gonna miss you. So thanks, guys. I appreciate the time.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tara.
Is that the end of your report, Sandra?
It is.
Okay, thanks. Next up, Business Office.
I have nothing that could top what Tara just said, so
Thanks. Thanks, Sybil.
Tara, I just wanted to say it really is wonderful to hear how well the program has been adopted and how much the staff love it as well as the kids. And I wanted to say that there's something about Zoom and having to meet like this that you don't always see everybody's expressions and stuff of appreciation. And it's difficult to share that in this manner. But I know I'm speaking for myself, but I know everybody else is, I'm sure, feeling the nice warm glow from everything that you've just said. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, we have Stella Ritter's up next. How are you? Where is Stella? Stella. Oh, there she is. Hi, Stella.
I'm trying to unmute. Hi, everyone. I would like to reiterate what the administrators and teachers have said about the total collaboration that all of us have had to have this year. Throw in people not feeling well from the vaccine with annual review meetings, and the secretaries and principals have to make sure that teachers are available to attend the meetings of their students. So I thank them very, very much. To say that John Gulisane has been a true colleague is an understatement. I wish you, John, the very, very best in your retirement, and I look forward to the next few months with you, really. It's been wonderful. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Stella. Next up, we have Buildings and Grounds, Nick Smith. I know I saw him earlier.
I'm here. Good evening, everybody. So break weeks are a great time for us to be able to do things in the building that we can't normally do when students are there. This week, we were able to get my staff training on lockout tagout to teach them how to safely de-energize equipment and work on it. And they also received aerial lift training. So that was another safety related training that they were able to participate in. We also have an opportunity to get into the classrooms and do things that we can't normally do when the students are there. We've been working on retrofitting the existing light fixtures with LEDs. So my maintenance staff have been working on that, and my cleaning and custodial staff have been going through the classrooms and working in the corridors. So these weeks are productive for us. Everybody's been hard at work, and things are going well for us. That's all I have for tonight.
That was quick, Nick. All right. Next up, we have Transportation, Rick Feebrock. Hi, Rick.
Hi, how's everybody doing? So I don't have a long report. I just wanted to thank all of our employees and all of our staff in transportation and building and grounds for their efforts in snow removal and everything else they've done in some of the bad weather instances that we've had this year. It never ceases to amaze me, and every year I'm very impressed with how everybody pulls together when we have a bad weather condition. We've had some pretty bad ones, but we've managed through them. All I would ask of the board is to please find me a weather forecaster that gets it right.
So you don't want the buses?
No, I want the buses too.
I'm just checking.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Technology, John Dodds. Where I know, there he is. I see him.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'll answer any questions anybody has, but I really don't have much to say other than Mr. Burmaster has a silver tongue, and I was very impressed with what he said about Mr. Gulasane, and it's all true.
Very.
So,
Thank you, John. So we next up have Pam Strum from the cafeteria. Is she here?
I am not sure Pam's on tonight.
I didn't see. I was kind of looking. Okay. All right, so we have no old business at this time. I do have to direct the board members' attention back to the consensus agenda. I needed to strike something. So 5D7, the appointments for the clerk typist. We are going to strike that until next month. All right. All right. So now we're on to new business. So we have the authorization of the disposal of obsolete or surplus equipment and supplies consisting of various high school textbooks, elementary library books, PI Inspire calculators, and obsolete IT equipment. Can I have a motion, please? Alicia, second. Ron, any questions about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, we have some donations. So we have box tops for education. We have $8 from Whitney Kremensky to the Conic Hills Cafe Fund. $5,000 from the Hillsdale Economic and Community Development Corp. going to technology hotspots for remote learning. Can I have a motion, please? Alicia, second.
I'll second it.
Linda? Any questions on that?
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, you can.
So Peter Chapkowski, the old Hillsdale Town Supervisor, gave me a phone call and said that his group had collected some money and that they wanted to donate some. And I said, yes, we'll take it. So the technology hotspots is from his group.
That's very nice.
It is.
Great.
Wonderful.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Craig, okay, thank you. We have the memorandum of agreement with Taconic Hill Support Staff Association. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of Taconic Hill Central School District hereby approves the memorandum of agreement by and between the district and the Taconic Hill Support Staff Association dated February 17, 2021. Authorizes superintendent to execute the agreement and approves payment thereunder. Can I have a motion, please? Linda, second.
I'll second it.
All right, Dave, any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ron? Okay, Joe?
Yeah.
The top of Joe's head. Next up, the approval of the updated Taconic Hill Central School District Financial Reserve Plan for 2018 to 2023. Can I have a motion, please? Motion, Alicia, second.
Joe.
Joe, any questions on that? All in
Tell me
favor?
again what the reserve plan means? Bonnie,
I couldn't hear you. What, Craig?
explain to me again what the reserve, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
Soft.
Can you hear me? What is the reserve plan that we're voting on?
So it's that booklet of that Sybil prepared for us with all the different reserve plans in it that we got.
It was in the email.
That was the email.
Well, it was in the email, but she presented that as well.
Right.
You remember?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You. Next up is the resolution to fund the retirement contribution reserve subfund. Whereas by resolution at its meeting of June 19, 2019, the Board of Education of the Taconic Hill Central School District created a retirement contribution reserve subfund to be used for the purpose of financing retirement contributions to the New York State Teachers Retirement System. And whereas the board desires to fund the RCRSF in accordance with the law, it is hereby resolved that the Taconic Hill District's Board of Education hereby authorize funding of the retirement contribution reserve subfund in the amount of $222,000 or $222,616. Such money to be transferred from the district's available fund balance from the 2019-2020 school year to be used in accordance with applicable laws for the purpose of paying retirement contributions to the New York State Teachers Retirement System. Can I have a motion, please? Alicia, second. Heidi, any questions on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Craig? Okay, thank you. All right, do we have anybody for public forum two, Sybil?
No, we do not.
Okay. We have no executive session, yay.
Oh.
And we have any additional items to discuss? Do you have anything?
No.
Okay. I guess this is, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Take a
Oh,
vote.
I need a motion. This is Linda.
That's what I'm doing right here.
And second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Good night.
Here's to
Be safe. Good night.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.